like I'm going to be so much older when they get to like playing catch age. Like I'm going to have to really stay on top of that because I don't want to be, because my dad played catch with me. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that old fat sack of shit.
You won't be nowhere near that level of old to where you couldn't do that shit.
But if I hadn't have curbed my eating and the way I lived, I wouldn't have felt great.
Right, yeah. It's, ain't too much of a difference between old and just real fat and don't hit,
I agree.
That's basically the same thing.
I
in
feel
a lot of
young.
ways.
I
Matter of fact, there's old dudes who are doing much better in that regard than, the fat dumbs and don't hits of the world.
I'm
What's up, Airheads? We're back. Hope you stayed safe over Labor Day weekend and all that stuff. See, we're trying to stay somewhat current because we sort of know what day these things come out now. So we're trying to say stuff about them. So enjoy 9/11. That's coming up. I think that's true. Maybe I might be a week off. Either I hope you had a great 9/11, or if your 9/11 still to come, I hope it's a good one. I hope you didn't forget. You're never supposed to forget.
Which, by the way, I would like to go back on record as saying that 9/11, in our opinion, don't hit. Yeah, but really, for real, hope you had a good Labor Day. Hope you didn't get too drunk on a boat. I have to. You know what? I'm not going to say that. I was going to.
Okay.
Oh, no, you know what?
Off to a cracking start.
No, I can, because this will come out in a couple weeks. So this will be the first Labor Day that my wife doesn't get drunk on a boat because she is with child.
All right. Well, we did not. We knew that. We did not know that was going to be public information.
Because this is coming out in a couple weeks.
Amber didn't know that either, but now everybody knows that.
Little baby Cho in there.
Well, shit, I feel like that's the kind of thing you can't just say and then,
I don't know what else there is.
Jet ski right by. Well, so, now that you've said it, I'm just wondering, how you're feeling about that. Because, for a long time, you had a doctor tell you that your sperm was too fat, round, bulbous, and choey.
Yep.
It was like, you got a bunch of chos in your balls. Yep. They ain't going to get there.
Right.
Because, you just you're sort of a rounded individual.
Yes, I am.
Not in, a put-together sense.
No, the opposite of that.
Yeah. But, your head, all that.
Yeah, that's
used to be your belly. Yeah, more so.
Than now. It's still very much round. It's just
you
smaller.
Just have sort of a your butt hits.
My butt does hit. My toes are kind of rounded.
You're just kind of round.
I'm I'm built like W.C. Fields.
Right, and it turns out the contents of your balls was also too round, and apparently sperm ain't supposed to be as round as your sperm are.
Here's how they explained it to me. They were like, I went and got my sperm count. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit worried about that. And the reason I was worried about it is because I used to be a whore.
Yeah.
I was a big whore, and it's not like I was careful. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it was the 90s. What are you going to do?
Well.
And so, that's just a phrase. Yeah, and so, it was the 2010s were the 90s of the 2000s.
You make it sound like you left your whoring behind at 13.
Yeah, right. No, but I'm saying, and I never even had, a close call. Really?
Right. I know, and I always found that miraculous.
Me too.
I almost didn't believe you when you would tell me that.
I had two theories on it, and it was either I'm sterile or there was a lot of secret schmortions because they're like, we ain't having that motherfucker's kid. You know what I mean? So I was worried about the count, and then they told me, they were just like, no, your count's fine. Matter of fact, a lot of cum. You just ate up with cum. But they were like, but the problem is your sperm is round. And I started thinking about sperm, and I was like,
they're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be round.
The head of them is round. They're like little tadpoles.
And they were
they're like, not this round.
Yeah. And they were like, no, they still have a point.
They're oblong. They're supposed to be footballs. You got volleyballs in there.
Yeah. And so I was
got that volleyball jizz.
I was like, well, what does that mean? And basically the way they explained it to me was whereas most sperm go in and penetrate the egg or whatever, mine was just going doing,
and just rolling around it, just
yeah, it was just bouncing smooth off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like trying to shove a little ball into a bigger ball.
Yeah,
they just kind of roll around and then fat off of there, and then they're done.
But after 3 years of trying, slipped one past the goalie, as it were. So yeah, we're super excited. I mean, look, man, I'm having a child late in life. I'm gonna be 35 when this sumbitch is born, meaning I'm gonna be 52 when it graduates high school. So
that ain't too bad.
It's not too bad, but it's not what I was used to as a kid. You know what I mean? Nowadays that is kind of the norm, but I remember, when I graduated high school, most everybody's parents was like, in their early 40s. You know, some, especially where we're from, like 38.
No, dude, I know.
Like,
I mean,
you're gonna be young as shit when.
Yeah, I'll be when the first one
42.
I'll be 43 and 44 when my sons graduate high school, which like that's super hits for me.
No, that's great.
You know, but
I got 10 years on that.
Yeah, but also, yeah, dude, like you said, growing up in the fucking rural South, I've thought about it a lot before. Like, I can remember my friends' parents, and to me, from my perspective, they were always like old and authoritative because they were the parents. But I think about it now, and
they were super young.
I'm like, they were. Some of them in my memory, like my recollections of them, they were younger than you are now. Am right now.
Yes.
And like, that shit is so wild to me. You know, just like, I ain't old, but I mean, like, I do be old.
I remember my
to
dad.
To a kid, I'm old.
Like, obviously, I remember my dad being younger than I am right now. And at that time, I was like, obviously, as a kid, I'm like, this guy's got it figured out. And now that I get older, I look at it and go, oh my God, how did you give them a baby? They didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
But you're still going to be in the realm of like, because people are waiting longer and longer to have kids now, to the point that like, there's going to be a lot of like genuinely old dads out there where it's just like, I need to sit down while we play catch. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, because you just ain't got no energy. I mean, I'm already getting sapped of energy, but if you're a dad like of a little kid into your late 40s and 50s, that's got to be rough, dude. Well, you got to be wore out all the time.
I'm genuinely so thankful that, like, my sister had her kid when she did, because, like...
You've got experience with babies and shit.
I've got experience with babies and shit, but, like, me and Amber kind of thought that we were never going to have a kid. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Sperm too fat. What are you going to do?
Yeah, right. And
she read.
Oh, she was borderline barren, too. Don't just put this out on me. I love you, but she knows. I'm just saying, it was a struggle for both of us.
So this is a little miracle baby.
It is a little miracle baby.
More special.
Right, but like...
me and Katie, it's like, you know... Like, us getting pregnant again is like the Browns losing a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, well, we all saw that coming.
But when LJ was born, my niece, who I just immediately fell in love with and was like, this is my child, I quit smoking real cigarettes. You know, like, for that, I was like, I got to live longer for this kid. And I started, like, I'm not in amazing shape, but because of her, I was like, I want to be around for this person. And I started getting into, like, better shape. I was like, I'm going to have to take care of her. I want to be able to play with her. And so, like, that gave me a head start to, like, now I'm about to have my kid. And I'm like, oh, awesome. I'm not, like, I'm going to be, you know, not super dad, but, like, I'm going to be in shape for him. And hopefully... especially because of what you just said, like, I'm going to be so much older when they get to, like, playing catch age. Like, I'm going to have to really stay on top of that, because I don't want to be, because my dad played catch with me. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that old fat sack of shit.
You won't be nowhere near that level of old to where you couldn't do that shit.
No, but if I hadn't have curbed my eating and the way I lived, I wouldn't have felt great.
Right, yeah. It's, you know, ain't too much of a difference between old and just real fat and don't hit, you know?
I agree.
That's basically the same thing.
I feel
a lot of
young.
ways.
I genuinely...
Matter of fact, there's old dudes who are doing much better in that regard than, you know, the fat dumbs and don't hits of the world.
I'm not kidding at all. Right now at 34, I feel younger than I did at probably 27, 28. Like,
yeah, well,
without question.
We were hanging out when you were 27-ish, and as I told you then, I was like, you were just about the most shot out 27-year-old I've ever met in my entire life.
And I was.
You've really put it together in a lot of ways.
For sure.
Like that guy in Elf in the mailroom.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, you heard it here first.
Y'all are pretty white. So
me and Amber?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So, and I think I know what the answer is going to be, but I still would like to ask.
We
the
look
question.
like a fucking Swedish bobsledding team at the Olympics.
Have y'all had any conversations about
if the kid's black? Really get me out of a jam.
Yeah, that most white of parental pursuits, I feel like. The gender reveal party. Are y'all going to do that?
No.
Okay,
no,
good. I'm glad you said that, but I thought it could go either way.
No,
white people, dude, they're all about that shit.
I'm so fortunate. And for the record...
Yeah, we never did that either.
And for the record, it's not for some, like... I'm sure some of my friends will think I'm doing it for some, like, super woke. Well, that's because I'm going to let the child choose it reasons. And they do that, because I've told them I'm not going to do it. And they're like, oh, yeah, right. Because it's up to them, which it fucking is. But, like, for our whole relationship, one of the things that we've always had in common was like we would share those stupid gender reveal videos with each other and just be like, Amber was the first one. She was like, not happening. And I was like, baby, of course. Like, matter of fact, it's not even just that I don't want to do a gender reveal. I don't want to invent reasons to have to be around a bunch of people.
Sure.
Like, we've already got, like, clearly there's going to be a shower. I understand that. There's going to be, like, but I don't want to invent another reason that we have to hang out with people that you know good and fucking well we don't like.
It's also, like, kind of forcing most of those people because you have family and stuff.
Nobody wants to go. The moms want to go.
I was about to say, family, different. But those things are always made up of, like, friends and all that shit. And it's like forcing those people to pretend to care about thing that they do not care about.
Now, granted, you drink and there's sandwiches, so it could be worse.
But it's like, I mean, and you shouldn't care because, like, either way, it's fine.
I don't care.
But I don't
even want to know.
Those people, I was going to ask you that question too.
She does, so, and I'm not going to have her.
I definitely wanted to know.
So here's the reason.
I ain't spontaneous in most ways, and that is a huge way to be spontaneous. So I never.
Here's the reason
was on that tip.
Yeah, here's the reason I don't care. Like, again, she wants to know, and I'm not going to have her know and then try to keep it from me. So, like, I'm going to know. But she was like, you genuinely don't want to know? And my thought process on it, and this is going to sound like I'm trying to be, like, super progressive, but, like, regardless of what I've already got my plan for this kid, and it don't matter if it comes out a boy or girl, this plan is still the same. It's going to be a professional golfer. It is going to be super into Batman and Spider-Man and all this stuff. All of my hobbies and interests are not very gender specific, but like my mom, and she made this good point. She's like, I understand that, Corey, but like as mothers and as grandmothers and stuff, it's nice to know when we're shopping for the baby stuff. And I was always just like, get it a bunch of pink shit, and if it's a boy, he can wear that too. I don't care. But I get it. But like to me,
your friends are like, there it is.
Yeah, right. But nothing
knew that queer shit was coming sometime. Yeah,
but like almost nothing about what I want for this child has anything to do with its gender.
As long as you're prepared to throw much of that out the window as the kid goes on.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and I am.
Because like you can't.
No, it's going to do what it wants to do.
Like especially like as they start to get older, it's like they dislike things because they hit for you and stuff like that. But like even early on, like the kid's gonna like shit that's super don't hit for you.
And guess what? I'll get into that shit.
Right.
I'm looking like I've thought about that, and I was like, what if this kid's into this? And I'm like, well, guess what? I'm gonna be fucking into that too, and that'll be cool. But like but at the end of the day, and I understand that, but like so much of the stuff that hits for me now is because it hit for my dad, and I grew up doing that with him. You know what I mean? Like old books, football, golf, shit like that. So I do think that like I'm not gonna sit there and be one of those like ball field dads. It's like, you're going to play baseball, goddamn, or you're going to play golf. I'm going to take the kid golfing. If the kid don't want to golf, the kid's not going to golf. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm going to make it something fun that hopefully they'll enjoy doing. And if they do, I want to give them every single resource possible to pursue that professionally. Because I'm genuinely so excited about this kid achieving things that I could never achieve. You know what I mean? Like I'm already feeling that way. I'm just like, I know this is cliche and stupid, but like I've already let go of myself in a way. Like it actually, it actually like everybody was like, are you terrified? And I was like, this is actually, I feel safe for some reason. I feel safe because like now it's not about me. And I won't truly know that until the kid's born. I understand that. But like, I'm already not thinking about like my future is all about this thing and what this thing can do. And that actually kind of takes a little bit of pressure off me. I'm like, I used to be like, if I don't win an Oscar by the time I'm blah, 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 or if I don't win it. And now I'm just like, no, as long as this fucking kid doesn't die and doesn't grow up to murder people, I succeeded. So like, that's my job now. So like, strangely, I feel
I'll tell you what, you're way more on the ball in that regard at this stage than I was. Because
I'm 35. Yeah, right.
I'd say I was like 24 when she got pregnant, and I didn't understand it. I do now. I came to understand it when the kid arrived, but like, I had to figure all that or come to those realizations. So you're already ahead of the game.
I've already been thinking about like plans for my retirement, like to get out of all this shit. I'm like, if I could somehow figure out and invest this way where I don't actually, me and Amber were talking about being a stay-at-home dad. And like so many of my buddies would just be like, what the fuck is that? I would kill.
That's the gig,
the gig, dude. And like, if obviously I can do a lot of what I do from home. Like, I took the summer off this summer to work on a book or whatever. I'm probably not going to work next summer because it just so happens she's going to have the kid in April, and that's just going to work out for me. And like,
April, maybe we'll share my birthday.
I would love that. That would be my favorite thing because we would have the parties together. Just so you know, we would definitely have the parties together. And that way I would never forget my kid's birthday.
Yeah, because you could never forget mine.
Exactly.
That's great. It's like my kid might slip my mind, but my boy, I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, so sorry to derail us on the show.
No, that's
I know
all
we got
right.
other stuff to talk
again,
about.
y'all, hey, how about that? Big time breaking news. Cho, going to be a Papa. Professor Cho, going to be Papa Cho. How
I'm
about
excited.
That?
And thank you for all the tips you've given me over the years when I cried in your arms, because I told you I was terrified of becoming a dad.
Plenty more of them, buddy, as we go on.
That might actually be the first time we discussed anything that matters on the show.
Yeah, which is just how we like it. So, actually...
I'm sorry. Did we not mourn the loss of Prince Philip?
Yes.
Am I wrong here?
Second
that matters.
By celebrating just how insanely racist he was. There it is.
Sick.
That's a good button to the daddy subject. Yeah. Because I realized we didn't even set up.
That was a very Homer burp.
15 minutes in or whatever, we haven't set up that. On this episode of Puttin On Airs, my topic, Venn diagram, fancy people trash, they overlap. And related to the last week's topic, drugs, what happens after drugs? Rehab.
Oh, I was going to say pregnancy.
And
but
there's that ain't a bad one. No. Of course, everybody gets pregnant, but the difference is between fancy and trash pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll make a mental note of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to be talking about rehab and the differences there between the two types, or they are stark. And then Professor Cho is on what subject?
Oh, the Peterloo Massacre. This one brought to you by me getting drunk and reading a bunch of Wikipedia articles. It's going to be wonderful.
Like you said in one of the recent episodes where it's like, if something is the blank affair, you know it's going to hit to hear about. Right. Well, dude, the blank massacre? Is up, up a few levels.
It
don't ever hit that anybody gets massacred.
No.
But if you're talking about a historical massacre, if it's got a name and everything, you're like, well, this about to be some shit.
It's true because it's a strength in numbers type situation because, like, don't get me wrong, there's entire cottage industries based on how intriguing murder is. Like your wife loves it. But a murder could be an uninteresting murder, but a massacre could never be uninteresting because for it to go from murder to massacre, it includes a lot of other people getting murdered, but B, there was clearly some reason, whether it be political, religious, or whatever. Like massacres, nobody just like is like, okay, I'll massacre today. Like you will randomly murder a person, but you don't randomly massacre people, if that makes sense.
No, you got to put time in.
For sure.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Make a plan, write a manifesto, first of all.
I've done that part.
Bury it in the woods somewhere, however you do it. Put it in some politician's mailbox along with a bomb. Find a clock tower, like
live out in the woods in Montana.
Grow a beard, all that shit. Yeah, you can't just go willy-nilly into a massacre.
You cannot go willy-nilly into a massacre.
Well, I don't know anything at all about this particular massacre, at least based just on the name of it. So, so I look forward to finding out about it. But yeah, all right, rehab.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a little up top thing.
Well, I felt like our up top thing turned into you being a dad.
Well, it kind of did.
So I thought maybe I'd do the next up top thing on the next episode.
Okay.
Is the suspense killing you? You dying to hear it?
Kinda.
Okay, well, fuck it. We'll do it. We have a little less time or we go a little long. That's fine.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, have a little less time for Professor Cho. Well, all right. Yeah, okay. So I do think this subject's going to hit for you because I wanted to say, I thought we could we don't have to rank, like we don't have to put together top 20 or nothing, but a sort of pseudo ranking of just generally what we think the fanciest and least fanciest condiments are.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Grape Poupon, number one.
Okay, I was going to say, I knew you'd be with me on that. I was going to say that because I've got, and I know that's almost like a trash person's idea.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time,
it does hit.
I just think, Dijon Mustard.
Yeah, that's the fanciest one.
I feel like has got to be number one.
Caviar is a condiment.
I thought about caviar. Is it a condiment?
You put it on stuff.
Put it on a cracker or whatever.
Yeah, and that's a condiment.
Right. But Dijon Mustard's origin was invented to be served to King Louis XV, I think, in 1366.
Was that Marie's?
No, that's way before Marie.
Right, but I'm saying it's Marie's husband's
predecessor or ancestor.
Yeah, three removed or whatever.
But so, dude, and again, Right. I know anybody of a certain age, you grew up in the 90s, you're like, of course Grey Poupon's the fanciest. Y'all never see them commercials?
Well, it comes in a fucking glass jar, dude.
Right. Well, see, I had Katie get me some Dijon mustard today because we just ran out, and I just had like a squeeze bottle or whatever. And she was at the store, and I said, get me some Dijon mustard. And I said, something strong, I want it to hurt.
Yes.
You know?
Horseradish mustard.
I want it. Okay, right. So maybe this might be dumb to say. Maybe everybody knows it. Do you know there's not at all related to horseradish? There's no horseradish involved.
Really?
Yeah. Some Dijon mustards, like, they will have horseradish in them, but like Grey Poupon, I don't think does.
What is it to make a hit?
Well, apparently, originally, it has something to do with the type of mustard seeds they use, and also originally, which they've got substitutes for this now, but originally it was made with the juice from unripened grapes. Okay. Which was called verjus.
Oh yeah, verjus.
In the Dijon region of France.
That's what I
for the king.
That's what I say when I don't know where you at. Verjus.
Verjus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was very shocked to find that it's not actually a horseradish because it's a very horseradishy type of thing.
While we're on this,
I want it to hurt me mustard.
Right. I'm with you. And have grain. I want to have texture and shit.
You know? So she brought back one of these. She brought back a fucking little jar of $12 mustard.
Yeah.
Maillet, I believe, is the brand, and it's like one of the biggest Dijon, or it's like one. It's
I really wish
purportedly the hittingest Dijon mustard brand.
I really wish you'd brought it out here so we could do some pinky dips of it.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I should have.
Hey, while we're talking about condiments and horseradish, did you know that most of the wasabi you've ever had in your life is not wasabi? It's just colored horseradish.
Colored horseradish.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it prefers
the
term colored horseradish, but
horseradish American.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I did know that. Yeah, I guess because real horseradish is like hard to get.
Real wasabi.
It's real wasabi is hard to get.
Insanely hard to get. Like it's a plant that only grows in a certain
wasabi
climate.
Man.
You do.
Yeah, somewhere on a mountain in Japan.
Which, when I heard that, I didn't even bother me because I was just like, yeah, green horseradish.
They got. Oh yeah, I don't give a fuck, dude. I've always. Part of being trash, I feel like, is like being totally undeterred by that type of shit. Meaning, like, anytime somebody's like, do you know what's actually in that? And I'm like, no, what? And then they say something crazy, and I'm like, well, still hits.
Yeah, Taco Bell. They're like, do you know what's in that meat? And I'm like, fucking
could not possibly give less of a fuck.
Yeah, right.
No matter what you tell me is in it.
I went into it thinking Taco Bell was good for me.
If there was some food I'd never, ever tried before, and they told me something was in it that was off-putting to me, that would influence the way I felt about it.
Yeah.
But when they bring up something that like I've been eating forever and think that it hits, and they try to like hit me with some bullshit like that, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It's like that. You remember we talked about before on
chicken taffy.
Yeah, McDonald's Chicken McNuggets is apparently they're really this pink chicken taffy that they just sort of like cut off and fry or whatever. Like there was a famous viral picture of this huge thing of chicken taffy, and it's like, this is your McNuggets. I was like, well,
awesome.
As I live and breathe, hey, welcome to the future, motherfucker. Look what they've done, chicken taffy. What more do you want?
Well, I'm sorry to derail us. You were about to go back in more on Dijon.
Not Dijon, but just like what are the fanciest and least fancy condiments? Like I feel like it's fun. I feel like mayo is like oftentimes trash, but don't have to be. But aioli,
right,
which is just gussied up mayo. It's high horse mayo. Right. That's fancy.
And the thing about mayo is that I've always had a problem with. I think mayo is one of those things where it's just like, yes, of course it hits for trash people, but that's just because it hits and is awesome. And sometimes game recognized game, like everybody likes the thing because like mayonnaise is eggs and oil.
Right.
Like it's eggs and oil. That's not fucking trashy.
Right.
Like to me, if I heard this is a sauce made of eggs and oil, I would be like, oh, that seems fancy to me. And there are fancy mayonnaises. Like I sometimes used to get the Sir Kensington's mayonnaise just because I think it like kind of scratched my Anglophile itch. But really, like, Duke's is my shit. Shout out Duke's, potential sponsors. But like, because I think here's what it is. Mayonnaise to me isn't a trashy condiment. It's just that mayonnaise is used so many times to trash up something that
mayonnaise
otherwise would
trash up the place, buddy.
Like
for
you just
sure.
like you
in
have
a way that hits.
Like, oh, look at these nice roasted potatoes. Let's just put a bunch of mayonnaise in them and make a potato salad. Which, for the record,
hits
4. Yeah, right.
Right. So I got some other, and I guess condiment / sauces, I guess, but some other ones that come to mind. You're talking about fancy ones. Fucking hollandaise.
Oh my god! And it's
shit smashes
and it's so hard to make.
Yeah, super hard to make.
It's super hard to make.
Drawn butter rules. I feel like most types of vinegars, they use balsamic vinegar.
I'm the biggest balsamic man that you know.
Dude, I don't know. I go toe to toe with you on that one, buddy. I love balsamic vinegar.
Do you use an entire 20-ounce bottle almost every week?
No, nowhere close.
Then step off.
Never. All right, well,
then
put me in my place.
Dude, I have one right now that is a black currant.
I do love that shit, though.
It's a black currant balsamic vinegar. I get all mine at this place in Knoxville that's in the square there. It's an oil and vinegar store. They've got a place in Chattanooga, but I like to me, getting vinegar is just like an experience. You know, I want to go do it, and I have that. I have a white lemon one. I have a chocolate one. I have an espresso one. I have a strawberry one. And by the way, these are just the ones at my house right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a real big, because I'm a Mater guy.
I got big Mater guy. I got another one, and it's funny. I don't think I've ever told you this. It's not because it's come up a lot, and I've kept this information from you. And that is
on purpose?
Another fancy one, yes, that has never hit for me is truffle oil.
Yeah,
it's
overused.
Truffle flavored things, because I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that, like, real truffles.
Would you think that I would be mad at you for this?
I did, because you love truffle oil, don't you?
No, I don't like. So I'm not one of those people that's like, you got to put it on everything. I enjoy it when it's done properly, but I agree 100% that a lot of restaurants think, well, if we just add truffle, that makes it fancy.
Yeah. It's like a bullshit way of classing something up.
And that's
like,
another one.
There's truffle oil,
and that's another one too that often it's not really truffle.
It's almost never real truffles.
But no, I do. So I do like it, but like, again, I'm real easy with it. Like, every now and then when I make like a homemade cream of chicken soup, I will put just the tiniest hint of truffle oil in it. So basically, you're getting it on the back end, but it's not the star player. When people make it the star player, I'm not for that. Now, if I see someone like, we have some truffle popcorn, of course, it tastes good, but I'm not, because of the fad that it was, people overuse it too much. But I do like it. But again, it's more of a garnish than it should be the star.
There's a trendy sauce now. Katie bought some.
Pink
sauce? She was excited about it, and I was like, I got no interest in that. It's called Truff. And it's a Truffle Hot Sauce.
Yeah, I've had it.
Does it hit?
I mean, it is good, but I don't want truffle when it comes time for that. Like, I'm a purist with hot sauce. Like, I just want, like, I like buffalo sauce, and I want it to taste like fucking buffalo sauce. Hot sauce butter. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want in that.
You don't like other types of hot sauce?
I know I do, but I'm saying, like,
because I love mango habanero or like a chipotle.
Yes, and garlic and stuff like
all
that.
All that shit.
But
the verde hot sauces. El Yucatero, they do it right, in my opinion.
Here's where
Shout out El Yucatero.
Truffle falls into the, when I want a hint of truffle, it's maybe with like a potato, or it's with, like, sometimes I'll make like a fettuccine Alfredo and put just a little bit of truffle in it. Truffle is not a taste that I want with my hot sauce, if that makes sense. Like, my hot sauce, I want to be vinegary. I want it to have more of a garlic profile. Totally fine. Obviously, mango habanero is the shit, but like, truffle is like, I want it with things that you would have in France, not things that, like, I would have at a barbecue.
That totally
it's not
makes sense
bad
to
though.
me.
It's not bad though. It's just they clash. You know what I mean? Like, they clash. I get that hint of truffle, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to have chicken wings here. No, you know.
Yeah. So on the other end of the spectrum, what do you think trashier? Maybe I'm leaving something out, but to me, it's one of these two. You tell me if you got something else. Maybe I'm wrong. But trashiest condiment, I think, is either ketchup or ranch dressing.
I think it's ranch.
You think it's ranch?
By a long way. Well, not by a long way.
What about, like, people trashy ketchup on steak and all that shit? Like, I feel like trash will put ketchup just on everything, including things where it don't go.
But now we're getting back to the mayonnaise argument, where it's like, you can trash up things with this, and I agree with you. But here's why I'm going to posit that ranch dressing.
And they both hit for me, by the way.
I love them. Here's why,
especially ranch. I fucking love ranch, but
here's why
ranch
is the king. Yes, trashy people do have ketchup, and ketchup is used for trashy things. But ketchup is also, you can get it at fine dining places. You can get it anywhere, not only in this country, but in the world. Ketchup is, huge in England because of fish and chips and stuff like that, which I know is trashy, but still, it's a sauce.
Was it huge? Didn't you feel like we always had to ask for it? Was never assumed that ketchup came with it. Well, that's true,
remember? But I feel like
over here it's assumed, but it's on the table or it comes in a ramekin. I feel like over there they weren't doing that.
That's fair. I mean, vinegar's
they give you
definitely
gravy, and shit like the witch hits.
That's fair. But, okay,
gravy.
That's fair. However, this is the back end of my argument. If we were over there at any restaurant and we asked for ketchup, they would have brought it to us.
Yeah,
they would not have brought us ranch if we asked for ranch.
Right.
That ranch, south of if you go north of the Mason-Dixon in America, there's a lot of places that don't have ranch.
That's not true. North of the Mason-Dixon,
there's a lot
of the Midwest goes in on ranch arguably harder than we. In the Midwest, ranch is just assumed. Ranch will just appear at the table.
Okay. Not north of the Mason. That's true. Not north of the Mason-Dixon line, but nicer restaurants have ketchup. Nicer restaurants don't always have ranch.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like in California here, of course, there's going to be some places that have a ranch. But a lot of times, and I know this because I ask for ranch all the time, they'll be like, we don't have ranch, but we have. And then they'll give their fancier version of what it might hit for my trash palate because of ranch, whatever their cream-based, dressing is. But yes, you're right. Midwest actually fucks with ranch more than we do, probably.
Right.
But again, you can get ketchup literally anywhere. It don't fucking matter where you are. Ranch is like a ranch. What do you do? That's
the barbecue sauce. Smashes, obviously.
I think,
but it's got its southern roots and everything. It don't feel classy to me.
It doesn't. No, barbecue sauce is definitely I think
that's a working man's condiment right there. By God, blue collar lunch pail, first in, last out type of sauce. That's what that is.
Barbecue. A lot of barbecue sauce is ketchup based. A lot of it. Your thick ones. You'll have
I like that
ketchup.
Vinegar. I'm on that vinegar tip.
Oh, I am too, baby. But
and
I like
mustard
all
based and mayonnaise based. I'm indiscriminate when it comes to barbecue sauces.
If they had to get rid of, if I could only have one, it'd be vinegar based, 100%.
Me too, yeah.
But the ketchup based is ketchup and molasses and shit like that. And dude, when you're putting extra sugar into ketchup, that's super fucking trashy. But now granted, with all of these, it's I do know that there's a lot of artisanal barbecue sauces because barbecue is having a real moment right now. And it has been for it's always hit, but that whole barbecue competition game is going on now. So the sauces or whatever, there's tons of those in the barbecue world. But I still think that if I saw somebody who was eating some fries somewhere and they're like, can I get some barbecue sauce to dip this in? I'd be like, my people.
All right, I'm not even going to try to place them anywhere on the trash scale because I frankly have no idea. I just want to kind of give a shout out. I feel like the Asians kill it in the sauce game.
Unbelievable.
Fucking between
soy sauce is trash.
Soy sauce, fucking fish sauce,
oyster sauce,
hoisin sauce, fucking gochujang, fucking
hoisin is kind of
sriracha. They bring the noise.
To me, hoisin is kind of like an Asian barbecue sauce.
Yeah,
almost. It's got that molassesy taste.
Whatever Korean barbecue sauce is. Oh my God, I fucking love that shit.
Dude, when I make ramen at the house sometimes, and I've got gochujang or whatever and hoisin, and I'm talking it's shameful. Me just, you know what I mean?
It's all that umami,
oh my
baby.
God, dude. No,
it's the umami that do it.
I think
MSG.
Now, granted, I think with sauces you have to consider Italians, but because you got your tomato sauce, your cheese sauce, or whatever. But I think that as far as just condiments go, that type of sauce, I think the Asians kind of take it.
I mean, they
that Polynesian shit or whatever, the sweet and spicy,
sweet and sour duck sauce. Yeah,
man. Duck sauce is so good. But yeah, that shit that you get with the egg rolls, that little sweet and spicy sauce, that is unbelievable. And again, I exclusively hang out with trash people, and they fuck with that. But I feel like those sauces are too complicated to call trash.
Right.
Duck sauce doesn't seem trash to me.
No, I agree. All right. Well, we've been hitting. We need to move on.
A1 is the trashiest. Oh, damn good one.
Trashy.
A1 might be the trashiest sauce. Genuinely.
It's I
love it.
And I feel like just maybe because of the name. What about Worcestershire? Is it sort of fancy? It's got the name that makes it look fancy, but like a lot of trash love it, and it's like, and also butcher the name and all that shit. And
it's like that Weatherspoon's place you were saying.
I think this podcast could have been called Worcestershire sauce
because
that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds fancy, but most people I've ever seen use it in their application, it's like they'll put Worcestershire sauce in a bag and dump their steaks in it.
I got a good trash one for you that I don't know if people have everywhere, but Dale's sauce has got to be one of the trashiest sauces
so
in the world. I love it, dude.
Dude, if I like you,
pure, it's like salt oil.
It is. It's like redneck soy sauce.
It is. Like that's exactly what it is.
It's redneck. It's Roy sauce.
It's Roy sauce.
So that's Dale's
Uncle Roy sauce.
If you don't know what Dale's sauce is, it's the reason that every hamburger you've ever had at a cookout in the South tastes kind of the same, and I mean that in a good way. It's wonderful.
Well, it's football season, and the air may be a little bit crisp, but that doesn't mean that it ain't time to bring the heat into the bedroom, baby, and that's what I'm talking about. Of course, you know, this episode is sponsored by our good friends over at Blue Chew. Y'all, confidence can take you far in life. We all know that, but it can also help in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. And by step up, we mean get a boner in the plates, the butt or crotch of your favorite person. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Wiener bat. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but they're in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. Trae, tell them a little bit more about our good buddies at Blue Chew.
That's right. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or you can be ready whenever a wiener opportunity arises. The process is simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. That's the best part of it all, y'all. It's all done down there on the internet there. It's all online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward wiener conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the good old U.S. of A., prepared and shipped direct to your door in a very discreet package for your package. Cho, you're a devotee of Blue Chew.
Couldn't go without it. I've told this story before, but just in case anybody's joining us for the first time I ever used Blue Chew, I decided not to tell my wife because, you know, I wanted her to think that was just my dick. And we got done, and she turned around. She turned around and goes, what was that? And I go, what do you mean? She goes, that wasn't your dick. And I was like, what? So basically, I'm not allowed to not use Blue Chew now. Whenever that white envelope shows up, my wife knows that it is back blowing out season. So tell them how they can get some extra deals on it, Trae.
Yeah, so if y'all could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, Blue Chew can help, and we've got a special deal for our listeners. You can try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code POA at checkout. You just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code POA to receive your first month for free. I said free, y'all. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for continuing to sponsor this here podcast.
We sure do.
So anyway, goddamn, well, this is all hit, but we do need to move on.
That's
so let's talk about Rehab, everybody. One of the Hittner exchanges in Dewey Cox, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, is when he's talking to his agent, played by Harold Ramis, and he's like this Jewish guy, and he's like, "What about the rehab?" Yeah. You know, he's like, "What? Rehab? What? And he was like, Rehab? And he's like, oh, hell, Rehab. Yeah. I go to Rehab. Why didn't you say so?
That movie's so underrated, man.
So underrated. So, obviously, trash people stay going to Rehab, but, dude, so do fancy people. Let me tell you right now, there is a lot of money to be made in fancy people rehab, dude.
They'll pay anything.
It's a whole cottage industry, and it's fucking high dollar too. If you can get into the fancy rehab game, and Russ, I'm gonna keep talking, but they're in the doc under the rehab, in the rehab part, there's a YouTube link to this Vice documentary, and we're not gonna listen to it, but we can show some of it, right? Or is that not cool?
I think so.
It's not animals.
Yeah, we found
we're
that
not
out.
listening to it. You just sort of put it on and let it play. You can put as much of it into the episode as you want or not, but I want Corey to see some of this shit. So the fanciest rehab in the whole goddamn world is in Zurich, Switzerland.
Yeah.
And it's called Paracelsus Recovery. And it's where like Saudi oil princes, fucking
Why do they go
Russian
to rehab?
oligarchs, fucking, why do any of these people go to rehab?
Right.
You know what I mean? Oil tycoons, whatever. The richest of the rich go to this place, Paracelsus. And Vice did a mini documentary about it, and I watched it and also read some articles. And it's like, how much you think it costs? The fanciest rehab in the world
like
for a month. Typically, it's like a
stint?
month. A rehab thing is like a month stint.
Okay.
So for a month, how much you think it costs?
$85,000.
$300,000 a month.
I was being like insane.
Right, $300,000 a month.
Why is it better than other rehabs?
Because of all the bullshit they do.
Right.
But so basically,
like ketamine and like all sorts of shit.
So I want to read these other like generalities about why luxury rehabs are better than the peasant rehabs, and it's like, yeah, I think we all know.
Yeah, right.
But some of the things that are
They're
listed,
not court ordered.
Right, exactly. It's like not only do they hire and retain the best addiction and mental health professionals, they also retain the services of specialty and adjunct therapists like yoga instructors, art teachers, dance teachers, cooking teachers, people from a variety of backgrounds who offer various outlets for expression and creativity. Staff might include on-site marriage counselors, family therapists, lawyers, 5-star chefs, where dinners are served from locally grown and locally sourced ingredients.
That sounds nice.
They have top-of-the-line gyms, massage services, tennis courts, swimming pools, acupuncture clinics, private beaches, and even business centers that allow the high-power executives and celebrities to stay on top of their commitments, all while receiving treatment, right? And this is the fanciest one.
So that's all inclusive.
Right.
$300,000
for only $300,000
a month.
But the impression that I got from watching this, and they kind of talk about it in the thing too. She kind of acknowledges it. The young rich addict that they follow through this journey is like, it really seemed to me like most of that shit they tacked on there just to make you feel like you were getting your money's worth. Like most of it seemed to me to have nothing to do with drug addiction whatsoever.
Right.
Like they've got like cupping treatments and they take you to the spa and you lay in like a hot rock bathtub.
That sounds like what's up.
You know what I mean? It just looks like gravel, like black gravel, and it's hot, and you just like sprinkle it on your titties and stuff. And it's like, what the fuck is that supposed to have to do? With not,
just
not
keeping
smoking crack.
Keeping you. The only thing I can think of is like keeping you occupied. And then B, going, here are all these alternatives for pleasure that you can take into your life. Like the next time you think about doing some crank, why don't you just lay on a fucking hot rock bed?
Sure.
Won't that be the same?
But they had this, like, they did this thing where they put you through this whole regimen of like, they do all these tests on you, allergy tests and like biosensor tests and all this shit, where they then tell you all the things that are wrong with your body and tell you all the things you're supposed to be eating and not eating. Yeah, right, exactly. You'd think it'd be that, but no, it's like you eat too much herring.
Yeah,
you know, it's like shit like that. And then they, and dude, you can tell, and even the doctor doing it in this thing, she's like hooked the addict up to a computer. She runs his test, and she's like, and now we're gonna fix it. She's like, how we're fixing it? It's like, oh, the computer, it fixes it. She's like, there's a thing behind the thing in the computer. And this is literally pretty much what she says. She's like, there's a thing in the computer that fixes it. She's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, oh, but also you need to wear this. And she unpeels this sticker and she's like, this is 100% solid gold, a solid gold sticker. And she puts it on the back of her neck. And it was like, yeah, that'll take the toxins out of your body.
Gold?
Dude, it's
just bullshit.
Fucking bullshit.
Right.
It's like clearly bullshit.
Yeah.
And again, I felt like two things. I felt like, one, a lot of this like assessments and tests they run and stuff and all the things they tell you need to do were geared towards like making you feel more broken. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like, these are all the problems you have, where it's in your head. You're like, I really need this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also, number two, like I said already, I think the main thing was just like, we really got to make this seem worth it.
Right.
So we're going to just throw in all this other bullshit that is completely fucking unnecessary.
Right.
And they also, a huge part of this program is you have a 24/7 live-in therapist.
Well, you better.
Who's with you all day, unless you're at the spa or something like that. But y'all live together. You eat every meal together. He's constantly.
Oh, he?
Like, well, I think it would depend. Hers was a he.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure they got a bunch of them. They'd have to for all their different clients. But it's like, dude, the whole thing just struck me as real creepy and overbearing. He's like constantly there. And also, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, which means nothing. Yeah. Nothing. But I had an interest in stuff. I got a degree in it, an undergraduate degree.
I didn't know that, by the way.
I'm not being shitty about it right now. This dude at this rehab watching this, it literally seems like all he did was just be like, so how are you feeling?
Right.
And then she'd be like, I'm feeling okay right now. And he's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of okay?
Yeah.
You feel like, and then just like, so you've got daddy issues, right? Tell me about it. You know, he brings up her dad, whatever. It just seems like, I don't know, just so much of this felt pretty unnecessary to me.
Isn't it wild?
And not worth it, and isn't going to do you any more good than a traditional like treatment regimen or whatever.
I know that obviously anybody can be dumb, but whenever I hear shit like this, it's always wild to me that there's someone who can both afford $300,000 a month and also is dumb enough to fall for.
I think a lot of them think like the Gwyneth Paltrow types.
That's just not any money to them. So
it's that, but I think also they sort of like, I think part of them, even if subconsciously, is like, well, I know this works. Because
it costs $300,000.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
It's like people don't know how much this stuff works because the peasants, the peons, they don't have access to all this. You know what I mean? That's how you know it works, is because it's expensive or whatever.
Yeah, or it's just like that innate desire to floss, no matter, because they're broken.
No matter
they're
what you're
broken
doing.
People. Because like they're like, no, a Birkin bag costs $300,000 because it's so much. It has to be a better bag because it costs $300,000. Yeah, you're right. It's definitely that.
Right. So again, it struck me as a lot of bullshit. There also in the comments, there was some anecdotal, like, experiences where people talked about, like, I'm rich, my mom's rich, whatever. My mom would go to these luxury rehabs. And I read some other articles where people felt this way too, where it's like, and honestly, it just seemed like she went on a little vacation.
Yeah, right.
For a month,
for $300,000.
where you just go to like hit real hard at this place, but without drugs, and then come home and then just like go back to doing drugs. You know what I mean? And
you see that a lot.
And that girl, and look, there's a lot of recidivism in all of rehabs, but that's kind of what I'm saying is like,
I got to dry out and it's going to cost me $300,000.
I couldn't find anything that indicated that these luxury rehabs are any more effective than the stuff available to like a regular person, because the actual key parts of it that matter are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
All the extra shit you're paying for is all this luxury amenity bullshit
that you could have got at your spa down the road.
I've been telling you about this whole time. You know what I mean?
Well, I think though, and I know you're about to get into this because we have to get to the trash part, right?
I was just about to, so go ahead.
Well, hopefully I can bridge it here for you. That does still seem more effective than the trash type of rehab, which is go to church. Because, like, I've got a bunch of buddies. Like, I'm from the rural South, and as everybody knows, pills and then later heroin has just run rampant through our area. And so I've got a lot of buddies who have had to go to rehab, and there's this one specific rehab place in North or South Chattanooga or whatever, right up the road from Chickamauga, that so many of these people have gone to. And I'm not going to mention them by name, frankly, because they seem to have a very like Church of Mormon church type aura about them, that they will like come after me. It seems very fucking cultish, but like every single one of them ends up going there, where their whole thing is like, the reason that you're doing drugs is because you don't have Jesus, right? And they do this whole fucking thing.
I think even AA, I think one of the tenets of it has to do with God.
It's a higher power.
Built around God. They've changed it to a higher power.
No.
Like,
so with
like the spirit, there's like a spirituality
there is,
element of it, right?
But with AA, I'm pretty sure that they like don't care who yours is.
Okay.
Like they're just like, what you have to do is give yourself to something bigger than you, and you have to understand like it's basically just like understanding that there is a higher power, or like I don't know, but like it's not like or you'll go to hell. It's just like this will help you, and like that's fucking fine. Whatever works, whatever. But these people will be like, all you gotta do is get saved. And they won't like do any of any of the other treatment. They just like I don't think these people actually believe.
What we're gonna do is make you feel worse about being an addict. Now it's not just personal shame. You have shamed the Lord in this program.
Like they don't seem to believe.
Like, we're gonna give you existential shame.
Yeah. But they don't
transcendental shame. That's what you need.
Yeah. I get dental.
Yeah.
So they don't seem
I don't know about the trans part.
They don't.
Nailed it.
Sin part sounds good.
Yeah, right. Transcendental.
Yeah, right. Ain't bad. Yeah.
They don't seem to, from what I can hear, they don't seem to actually believe in addiction. They're just like, you're doing this bullshit and you could just not do that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like we don't need to treat
like any addict on earth hasn't heard that a million times from everybody else in their life. It's like, you're doing this bullshit, you could just not do it. And right. Like, oh, damn.
And again,
fuck.
And again,
I could have just not done it. This whole time I've been just doing it. But now I realize I could just not done it.
Shit.
Goddamn.
But I'm sure you're about to get this.
I guess I'll just not do it.
To me, trash rehab is just going to celebrate recovery at the local Baptist church.
Yeah, I mean, off the top, you're sitting in a church basement, using only your first name, sharing stories, whatever, stuff like that. But there's like...
Sure could use some drugs.
Yeah, there's state-funded rehab centers. There's like ones you can get your insurance to pay for, various things like that. And I was saying I was ragging on this luxury one, but like you said, you're like, still sings better, and of course it does, but I'm trash, so I hollered at my mama, my pillbilly mama.
She been in rehab?
Yeah, and she's got a lot of friends that have too, and I asked her about her experience with it. Yeah, right. And she told me she was like, she was cool with me saying I talked to her about it and everything. She said that she's always heard that, like, from what she's experienced and been told, it's pretty much like you'd expect, meaning, according to her, the like state-funded ones are at the bottom of the hit ladder. The ones you can get insurance to pay for are above that, but still not great. And the ones you pay for out of pocket, those are the ones that hit the hardest. But it's like, I just still don't know if it hits the hardest because of all these amenities and stuff versus like the efficacy of it.
I was about to say,
you know what I mean?
You had to look at like,
because people in both, like, dude, the documentary that I mentioned on Vice, it ends with the subject of the documentary. The girl at the end of it, she's like,
back in.
She goes, the last words of it is she's like, all right, glad to be out of there. Can't wait to get a glass of wine. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but like,
yeah, right.
So,
and I'm going right back.
People, it's a bit of a fucking dice roll, I think. Regardless, because addiction's really fucking difficult to figure out and to deal with. But you can I've always just thought that it's like if you truly are ready to change and figure it out and everything, or rather, if you're not, then I don't care how much you pay to go to rehab.
And that's accurate.
If you ain't mentally on board and really doing the thing, $300,000 a month, $1 million a month, $2,000 a month, or free from the state, it ain't gonna matter.
Well, it's like if you decide like I want to get better at editing videos or something like that, and you buy Final Cut Express instead, you're like, this is the best, which it's not the best one, but like it's one of the best ones. Like, I'm gonna buy Final Cut Express because I'm gonna get good at editing videos. But then you don't actually practice at getting better at editing videos, and you just think that the software, because it's so expensive, is somehow just going to make you good at it. You have to want to do it, right? And like, I feel like when poor people are going to rehab, it's because they're like, okay, if I don't get my addiction under control, I'm going to lose my house, I'm going to lose my family, I'm going to lose all this, so I really have to fucking do this. With the rich people, they know that they're never in jeopardy of any of that shit. So to them, it's just a really expensive drying out process. They're like, no, it's great. I get fucked up 10 months out of the year, and then when I need to get it together for some vanity project or whatever, I go here for a month, and then I've got 2 solid weeks, and then I get fucked up again. It's a reset button for them.
Sure. And obviously, this is all generalities.
Again, some people smooth out my butt.
Some people, like, but a lot of people, it's exactly that way. Other people at either end of the spectrum, they go in, it changes their life, they get their shit together, and they stay that way. It's just, I'm saying, like, in both,
it's gotta be
up here
you,
and down here, it's like ultimately up to you, and it seems like a bit of a dice roll, no matter how many acupuncture treatments and fucking cup therapies and hot rock baths they have or don't have.
Right.
Is pretty much it. So
well, like,
that's my rehab thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And like, so I started going to therapy, you know, like a year ago or something like that. And it worked for me really good because it was my decision. I wanted to. I realized things had gotten out of control. I was forced to go to therapy when I was in high school because of like drug problems and shit. And it didn't work because I didn't want to be there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, like, I would say that, I mean, I'm sure there's stats to prove this, but like people who are forced to go to rehab, you know, relapse way more frequently than people who chose to go to rehab. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, of course that's true.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
You know, rehab.
Go to church,
Make a
motherfuckers.
hit. We'll be right back with History of Professor Cho on the subject of the Peterloo Massacre.
The Peterloo
That has got to be one of the more whimsically named massacres,
I agree.
I would think.
I agree 100%.
All right, well, here we go.
Hey, real quick, want to give a shout out to James up in Stoneville, North Carolina. He's a friend of the show. Hell, he's a friend of the family now. We were able to go ahead and help his family recently save more than $1,200 a month. Really think about this. My man Robbie didn't save $1,200 one time. He's going to save it each and every month, all because he went to savewithconrad.com. He left us a 5-star review earlier this week, and he said this: from the first phone call with Christian, all the hard work Diane put in, Jennifer taking time to explain things and help me understand where we were at with the deal, right up to Steve helping me get this survey through, nothing but professionalism all around. Dealing with First Family has helped us to the point we've cut $1,200 a month off our bills. I can't say enough about the team Conrad has assembled. I highly recommend First Family to anyone looking to purchase or refinance their home. Thanks to Conrad and the entire First Family team. No, thank you, James, for the great review, and congratulations on saving $1,200 a month. And oh, by the way, you can skip your next 2 house payments. It's real, folks. SaveWithConrad.com can help you. We're licensed in more than 40 states, but if you've got credit card debt, if you're looking to save money on your monthly payments, if you're looking to pay your house off faster, or even buy a house with no money down, SaveWithConrad.com is your hookup. Holler if you hear me. That's SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. And oh, by the way, you don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket. What are you waiting for? Find out how much money you can save for free at SaveWithConrad.com.
All right, y'all, we're back, and it's time once again for everybody's favorite segment, History of Professor Cho.
I don't know if that's true.
Got to be up there.
I mean,
it's at least top 3.
Right? That's true.
Yeah, and tonight we're talking about the Peterloo Massacre. This is another one where, like, I have no fucking idea. I don't know.
Can you guess?
I don't know a goddamn thing about it. Maybe it involves the French and a lot of people getting killed.
It does involve the French.
I literally just because Napoleon fucked up at Waterloo, and Peterloo sounds like Waterloo's brother-in-law or something like that. I don't know.
You have no idea how fucking right you are. And this is, no, that's really great. Like, that is really great and really apropos.
Like, I didn't know if that was maybe like the French version of gate or something.
It is. It is.
Well, that's tremendous.
Dude, this is fucking awesome.
Well, please tell me. I'm waiting with bated breath here.
So in 1819, Trae, would you be surprised to learn that being a woman did not hit?
I've heard that.
Yeah, no, it was a horrible, horrible experience to be a woman. I'd say now they're
I was about to say, good thing that's over.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it totally hits to be a woman.
So in 1819, women could not vote. Voting in 1819 was, you know, in England or whatever, was like very similar to, you know, voting up until 1920 in America, where it's like only wealthy landowning white men could do it. And like
we're the ones who know how stuff works.
And that was their argument.
Why does anybody else need to be able to vote? They don't know how stuff works.
And that was their argument.
We're the ones that work all the stuff and know all the things. So like, Totally makes sense.
Which is like, that's their argument. They're like, why would anyone who doesn't own land have a say in anything? It's not like they're being affected by anything. It's
Right.
like, well, I mean, if they had more representation, maybe they could own land, you know? I don't know. But here's the thing that I've never really thought about with that. They're like, oh, only you know, white men who own land get to vote. And that was less than 5% of the population. So
mostly peasants.
Which, like, if you think about that in terms of how it is today, it's like, yeah, 5% of the population pretty much controls this entire world. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, that makes sense. But they wanted, obviously, suffrage.
Well, see, that was before they figured out that, like, we can let them vote.
Right.
We'll just tell them how to vote, and they'll listen.
Yeah.
Because they're dumb and we're smart and we got money. And
I mean, not for nothing, but that's definitely how it works in my house.
I know.
Yeah.
That's how it works in this country.
Yeah, right. Like, but the only reason I even know anything is because, like, I have, like, part of my job is, like, knowing stuff about how the world works. If I was not a comedian, I wouldn't know shit about nothing. And I'm not sitting here trying to say that, like, comedians are more enlightened. It's just that comedians are more inclined to keep up with what's going on.
You, like, have to.
You have to, right.
Yeah,
so
right.
by virtue of that,
you want to stay
like,
relevant or whatever, you have to kind of keep up
by
with
virtue
it.
of that, I know more than most of my friends just because, like, they go on about their day, and I could not be more jealous of them for doing that. But they wanted suffrage, which don't... Have you ever...
It's a weird word.
It's a weird word for,
it
like, wanting to vote.
Yeah,
it sounds worse than the thing it is.
Yes.
Like, it's like women's suffrage. I'm just like, that... Like,
we have to suffer through it.
I feel like women's suffrage is just perpetually going on. Like, they just live in suffrage, but that means, you know, the right to vote or whatever. And
maybe they named it that so they'd think it didn't hit or something.
Right, yeah. Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want suffrage.
Do y'all hear it? You hear how it sounds?
Suffrage.
Y'all don't want that.
That ain't it. Which is the same, like, they do be doing that shit, like with the death tax and stuff like that. They do find great ways to name things in a way that would make you not want it. So that is probably something that's going on here. So why did they want to vote, Trae? Well, as you mentioned before we even started, this is right after the Napoleonic Wars, which I also would like to point out.
But we're talking about England right now?
Yeah.
This is England. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
this is England.
Yeah.
But there's the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon's out there fucking shit up. I also wanted to bring up, like, the Napoleonic Wars is interesting because, like, I don't know any other wars that were named. I mean, I'm sure that there are some, but, like, do you know what I mean?
I do. I'm trying to think of some. And
like, we had General Patton. You don't hear the Patton Wars and shit like that. But, like, Napoleon hit so hard that they were just, like, called the fucking Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So basically, the Napoleonic Wars had fucked up the economy and shit like that. There were factories being closed down, and these people just didn't have a voice in Parliament. The people of St. Peter's or whatever. It was at it was in the Manchester area, and this whole area didn't have any representation. Which taxation without representation would end up being a theme for this area. But, like, they didn't have any representation, even though they were, you know, a city of, you know, several thousand people. And, like, the University of Oxford and the University of Cambridge had their own, like, people in Parliament. So, like, even a college had members of Parliament that, like, represented them, but this entire city didn't, because this city was made up of non-land owning people.
Right.
So they were just like, that's
where the poors live.
Yeah, you know, like, fuck all that shit.
It was the Detroit of its day in England.
It really was. Like, it was super the Detroit of its day. So they didn't have a voice, and things were going shitty because, like I said, of the Napoleonic War and also these corn laws.
Oh.
You know what I mean by the corn laws, don't you?
No. Laws about corn?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically,
they have corn lawyers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I specialize in corn law.
I just do corn law.
Yeah.
So I think it should be
more butter. Make it a law.
I think I should point out, and if y'all haven't picked up on this, by the way, 21 episodes in, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I'm talking smooth out my butt, and barely know anything. I took some notes, but basically what happened with these corn laws was they just like hiked the prices on corn. And what they mean by corn is like it's corn and any type of like grain and any type of like cereal, germ, wheat, type like that. They had this insane tax on them because all like they wanted to keep all the corn money. You know what I mean? And it's fucking over a lot of working.
A lot of money in corn, buddy.
And it's fucking over the working class people because working class people not only like deal in corn, they also have to eat the corn. Like pretty much like corn.
Sleep in corn.
Corn, yeah, right.
My house is made out of corn.
Decorate your house with corn.
Yeah, right. Corn, that's all we got is our kids are playing with corn cobs.
Yeah, right. They're also... things are also going bad at this time because everyone was upset, and this was so funny to read from something that happened in 1819. All these working class people were upset because machines were taking their jobs.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a new fucking thing. Like, obviously this is before the Industrial Revolution or whatever, but like because of the Napoleonic Wars and, you know, because of like, you know, factories getting, you know, more prominent or whatever, they're just like, well, we can do what 20 men used to do with this fucking corn silking machine. So like it's putting all these people out of work, but of course these people still have to like eat and have a roof over their head, but there's really nothing for them to do. And then on top of that, what should be the cheapest meals that they could buy, which is like grain and corn and stuff like that, is super fucking expensive, so they don't have any money for sustenance. And so it inspired by the French Revolution, 60,000 people from Manchester showed up to an area in the city called St. Peter's, to St. Peter's Field, and which is now the greater Manchester area. And so their demands were that they wanted, this is backwards. They wanted a vote for every man, regardless of income, elections, and they wanted it to be held every year. And they wanted...
And also dick status? Whether you had a dick or not?
Whether you had a dick. Yeah. Whether you had
women were included in this?
Women were included in this. Like they like this is a this whole event is a predecessor to women's liberation. It's sort of like kind of got the ball rolling on all that. And I doubt that, like, I think probably what happened was a bunch of like poor non-landowning men were just like, we need the right to vote. And then the women heard that and were just like, yeah, right, we do. And they were just like, oh, I guess if we're going to get it, then you should get it too. So they also wanted...
I'd almost rather not even have the right to vote. Now that I know that her ass is going to be... Now that I know her ass is going to be voting too, you know what? They can keep it.
So...
Ain't even worth it anymore.
Surprisingly, even though, of course, they're mad, they've lost their wages, they have zero representation, they did decide, like, the best thing that we could do would be to... make this peaceful. We need this to be a peaceful protest. We need to show up in great numbers just to let them know we're out here. This bullshit ain't going to stand. So they keep it peaceful, but it did not remain peaceful for long because the higher ups that this was going to affect, the people that were going to have to enact this change, the people that they were protesting against, got terrified just because of the sheer numbers of them. Like, they actually, when they had to see, oh my God, this many people we don't hit for. It's kind of like, you know, back in the Roman times, the reason that they didn't want to give slaves uniforms is because they would realize how many of them there were. So like, they're seeing this for the first time. So the Manchester magistrates ordered a private militia, which was paid for by all the super rich local dudes, like all the CEOs and landed gentry motherfuckers, assembled this militia and had them go down there to storm the crowd with sabers. So, like, there's a peaceful protest, and I don't know if this sounds like anything we've seen in recent time. There's a peaceful protest going on, and the cops are just going down there with fucking swords, just stabbing women, stabbing dudes, stabbing...
Out the gate? They just showed up stabbing them?
Out the gate.
Well, like, I know how we can fix this. Just stab them all.
Well, basically what happened was,
that'll calm them down.
It was a peaceful... It's kind of like cops... it's kind of like cops when they start being dickheads and then you react to them being a dickhead and they go, oh, you're resisting.
Yeah.
So like these motherfuckers show up, like these people are peacefully protesting, thinking they're like, and now for the record, I don't know what their rights were because like in America,
I would imagine very few.
Right. But I'm saying like, I don't like the women for sure, but I'm saying like we have the right in this country to peaceful protest. Now, again, even though we have that right, it still often ends up like this. But I don't know if they even had that right, which is not for me, which I'm not trying to say like justifies them going in and doing this, but I don't know if those people were sitting there thinking, surely nothing bad will happen. You know what I'm saying? So they come down there and the people get fucking scared because they're just like, we're just out here holding up our signs with Roman numerals on them or what the fuck ever, like protesting. And they come down there and they got their sabers and just started fucking stabbing people. And like, I mean, pretty immediately the peaceful protest just turns into a bloodbath because they've got soldiers, they're on horseback, they've got fucking knives. At this point,
it's way better than just being a peasant with a broom. You know what I mean?
For sure. And it didn't last that long.
No, I would imagine not.
But at the end of it, 600...
All them fucking cops are just like, this is easy.
Easy, goddamn.
Yeah.
I can take a broom.
It's like stabbing peasants in a courtyard.
So out of the 60,000 people that were there, 650 were injured, which like, you know, it's not...
Out of how many?
Out of 60,000 people, 650 were injured. There were reported at one time 18 deaths. A lot of historians agree that 14 people were definitely killed in the massacre. 15 if you include the unborn child of Elizabeth Gaunt, which a dude stabbed her right through the fucking belly.
Jesus.
She was beaten by constables, stabbed to death. And a further 3 people are believed to...
Focus on the pregnant peasant in particular.
Yeah, right.
60,000
people. It's a BOGO down here at Peterloo.
Shoo-wee.
So, and as you were saying earlier, you've definitely probably heard of the famous battle that Britain fought against Napoleon in 1815, which was the Battle of Waterloo. And so this was a violent protest gone awry. So the dude, Peterloo, comes from a reporter. He called it, like in the paper, he called it Peterloo, hearkening back to Waterloo. So it is absolutely exactly Gate.
I'll be damned.
You know what I mean? Like Lou to them.
What did I miss about Peter? Like, where's the Peter?
It's St. Petersfield.
St. Peter, right?
St. Petersfield.
Okay, yeah.
So that was like an ironic, like it's exactly the way that when Tom Brady did Deflate Gate. Yeah, you nailed that shit.
It's fine. I didn't know that ever had been a thing.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Watergate,
but this was like the French English version of Gate. Like, and I don't know. But I don't know, like the word something Lou, you do hear a lot. So like now that I know that, I'm like, oh, that I'll know exactly what that means. Like if you're something Gate, it's a thing that happened in secret, and there was a scandal,
whatever the first word.
But if you hear Lou, then it's definitely like some sort of bloodbath,
a travesty about whatever the first word is.
Right. So the protest failed.
Sounds like it.
That day, at least. But it did bring all of this to public attention, which is what
that's how that will go.
Right. Which is like, that's what protests are for, is to like stir shit up, fuck it up, and bring it to the attention of people.
Get stabbed and die for the cause, brother.
Right. So,
that's the deal.
So basically this massacre, although they didn't get what they wanted that day, it did pave the way for parliamentary democracy and also the Great Reform Act of 1832, which got rid of the old Sarum was one of these areas that we were talking about, like the Detroit. They finally got representation and got parliamentary seats. It also led to the establishment 2 years later of the Manchester Guardian by John Edward Taylor, who was a 28-year-old English journalist who was present at the massacre and saw how the establishment sought to discredit the protesters. So now, for the first time for a lot of these people, it was on display. They were like, oh my God, we're being silenced. You know, like this is how these people treat us. We've got to get in greater numbers. There's clearly injustice. And now that they get representation, obviously that means those people are running for these offices and they are able to go there and speak for their people. And it was all because of the Peterloo Massacre.
Well, sometimes peasants gotta get stabbed for stuff
Goddamn
to happen.
right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, here's the thing. As much of a tragedy as this is, if that hadn't happened, it would have been longer before they got what they wanted.
Right.
If they'd have just sat there and peacefully protest, and they didn't come down there with sabers and kill them, and they just
That's what I'm saying. If they would have just like ignored it,
it's the Streisand effect, dude.
Right, yeah.
It's the Streisand effect. Like, they actually made it worse.
Of course.
So, like, if they'd have just ignored them,
it's funny to even think that, like, you know, the best way to handle this angry mob
Stab 'em.
riled up over the injustices they perceive to be inherent in the system is if we go stab all the pregnant ones in front of the rest of them, then they'll be all right with it.
right, because
Like,
in their mind, I know
probably not.
I know from a
That'll make them less pissed off.
right. I know from a fascist point of view, the idea is like scare them so people won't want to do this anymore.
Right. Iron fist.
But the adverse effect was that it took something that everybody else might not have known was going on and brought it to the forefront, and then strengthened numbers. And then here's, French Revolution Part 2 over in fucking Peterloo.
Well, fuck. Good for them peasants, man.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, that hit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I enjoyed it. Tell me what I got wrong at Puttin On Airs at gmail.com, which you'll hear way more about here on this edition of Clearing the Airs. We super hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1,
Good
2,
episode,
3,
boys.
4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs. Puttin' On Airs.
Well, I'm back this week, Cho. I didn't miss anything big last week, did I? Nothing big happened.
No, I think it was just a normal week.
In the POA world, no
Nothing of note.
earth-shattering news or anything like that.
No, it was a quite peaceful day. I don't know what the fuck accent I'm doing, but yeah, Trae, you missed the fucking queen dying. It's what probably.
Did you have to redo this? Hadn't you done this already?
Yes,
before she died. That's what I thought. Yeah.
I had done this already, and I was out walking in the park, and I got the alert. I have so many apps that alert me for so many different things, and like all of them had their own little special "Queen died, don't hit" alert. So I was hearing it from everywhere. It's one of those wild moments where everyone on Earth heard it at the same time. Like everyone knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess when Kobe died, it was kind of like that. But there's certain news that like it'll take it a little bit to get to everybody. But it's like, no, everybody right now knows that the Queen died. And yeah, I had already recorded this and uploaded it to Russ. And this happened in I'm walking around the park and I'm having a good time. And I was like, I mean, do I need to? And then Russ texts, he's like, bruh, you're gonna want to go address this. And I was like, all right. But it wasn't as fun because you weren't there to bat back and forth. So all I basically served to do on that was to let everyone know, yes, we're aware that the Queen died, and also no, we did not plan the opening segment of that episode for us to be talking about the Queen, because like it's not like we hadn't been talking about the Queen on a lot of other episodes, so it could have happened at any time.
She fancy.
She is fancy.
She was fancy.
She was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that her soul lives on in the mortal plane somehow. Like, she's one of them. Like, as I'm with you, I didn't think that she could die either, but I have a feeling that like remember the rumor that Walt Disney's head was Frez, and they had Frez it.
I didn't think it was just his head. I think you're conflating that with Futurama stuff.
Futurama, yes, I am. Richard Nixon.
It was a rumor that Walt Disney himself was frozen in time, as Family Guy put it, just until the Jews were gone, and then he would be, thawed out. I don't know what the actual like conspiracy theory
It
was.
was
or whatever,
something
but
like that, though.
There was definitely one that he was secretly frozen and was to be thawed out in the future. And they did a cutaway scene on the Family Guy once where they thawed him out. He goes back up and he goes, "Are the Jews gone?" And they're like, "Not yet, sir." And he goes, "Put me back." And then they just freeze him again.
Dude, that's not like, I understand the logic behind that, though, because it sounds like unfathomable that we could ever reanimate a corpse. But, like, I don't know, we've done some wild shit. You can beat off to your phone now. So, like, why not just freeze if you're super rich, why not freeze yourself? And then one day.
I mean, dude, you know, I grew up with Encino Man, you know what I mean? And Demolition Man. I totally was on board with being Frez and then coming back later.
Yeah.
I think they could figure it out. I feel like it's going to be possible at some
It's just,
point,
would it be
it's like
you?
Cryo sleep. You know what I mean? It's such a staple of any kind of deep space travel situation.
So what you're suggesting is that it's not they freeze you after you die. It's that instead of you dying, like if you're about to die.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
That's how I always interpreted it, was that it was like never that someone died, then they froze their body. I think maybe for some reason that's a thing that people do too, where it's like super rich people. I think some of them have been frozen because maybe they died of some kind of cancer or something. And they're like, whenever they cure this, bring me back. But I don't know how that would work. But I always thought it was Walt Disney and that type of shit. It was like, you about
not
to
actually
die,
dead.
you old,
Yeah.
you're not dead yet, and they freeze you until such time as we've cured aging or cured whatever, and then they'll thaw you out and you can come back. Or you can just skip a few centuries or whatever and come back and, you know, hit in the 2300s or something if you want to. I don't know. But again, mostly it's, to me, it's a mechanism for allowing, you know, light years worth of travel with deep space expeditions. You put a crew of astronauts into cryo sleep and then wake them up in fucking 15,000 years whenever they get to Omicron Persei 8 or whatever the fuck is going on. None of which will ever happen in my lifetime.
No, that'd be wild as shit. That would be wild as shit. Hey, polio's back though, so that's good. So I had something about the Queen, and now I can't remember it. We were hitting for me, by the way, and I'm super happy that I'll be honest with you. I thought that we were going to have at least a little blowback from some people, especially those people who didn't know that we didn't just do that on purpose. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't. We had literally one person on Twitter say something. In the grand scheme of things, that means zero. So pretty good shit. But it's. I'm glad to have you back because I really, 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 really missed you last week doing this by myself. Don't hit. We hadn't seen each other in a long time.
No, it's true. It won't be too long before you got to come back out here and do some more.
That is true, my friend, and I am counting the days. Well, speaking of coming out there to do some more, let's go to the airmail.
Well, hang on. I mean, we haven't said a single word about this week's episode. Maybe there's nothing to say. I mean, I covered rehabs. I don't remember anything that I think I fucked up or nothing. So
I think that
hope
the reason
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything that I thought I fucked up since we've been doing these, except for like one time. So usually I have to go to the airmail before I find out how much I didn't fuck up.
It's pointed out for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, right.
So I just unless we do have something, I'm just not. It's just assume that we're brilliant. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But we're not. Okay. We're going to get told.
Well, let's
so here we go. What you know about them this is subject line. What you know about them taxidermy guitar playing hillbilly squirrels? Okay. I'm not going to say their name just because I don't want to get to the end and they go, please, for the love of God, don't say my name. Hey there, good buddies. So I wrote in before, but wanted to share something with you now real quick because holy crap, it's a taxidermy guitar playing hillbilly squirrel. Now there's a picture here. Hold on. Can you see that?
Camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit.
All right. That's a
taxidermy guitar playing hillbilly squirrel. All right.
It sure is. Now, were it holding a banjo instead, Trey, I think it'd stand to reason the squirrel would have more of a soul. But Cho, I have seen a mama squirrel scream for her baby after my dad's cat got a hold of it when I was a child. And let me tell you, it's still heartbreaking to think about. Pretty funny to me. Back to the awesomeness. Back to the awesomeness.
You don't know what that squirrel was screaming about. That squirrel might have just been like, "Fuck squirrels! Shit, it's a fucking cat! Thank God it ain't my baby and not me. Holy shit, that was fucking close. Good thing I had my baby with me, or else I might have been killed by that cat that I'm terrified of."
Back to the awesomeness at hand. I was back visiting some friends in Bryan College Station, Texas this past weekend. Lived there for a little while. We went to Dudley's Draw, a bar on Northgate. This is the strip of bars located directly across from Texas A&M. By the way, fucking go Appy State. Or not Appy State, go
Mountaineers.
Yeah.
It's App State, yeah.
Did you see, while we're here,
Superhead.
did you see the video of that App State pep rally where the dude was out there, but it was before the game, and the dude was out there talking about how nobody's even heard of Appy State, and they're going to kick those hillbillies' asses, and that they probably wouldn't even be able to get to the game because they couldn't read a plane ticket?
No, but that's
great.
great.
It's real satisfying in hindsight. There are glass cases, I imagine plexi, along one of the walls with all kinds of interesting random shit and pictures of friends/family of the bar come and gone. Love you, Connor, in parentheses. And, well, they got this taxidermy squirrel that y'all got to see, and, buddy, is it a nice sight. Enjoy, share, frame a pic of it, and hang it on your wall. Don't tell me what to do. Later, Gators, Sarah Marie. Thank you. We will, I will download that picture and share it on our fucking Puttin On Airs Twitter. We really appreciate that. Sarah, I'm sorry I suck at technology and couldn't just pull it up on this goddamn computer. What is the other one? Oh, yeah. Subject line, drugs from Ryan Mazzaros. And this is actually a wild email for us to be getting today, considering what we just talked about on the Well-Read podcast, and you'll know what I'm saying. Just a quick correction to when you said, if a cop even smells that shit, he's all boogity, boogity, boogity. I remember this because we were talking about fentanyl or something,
That
and I
was
can
you,
see
right?
me do it. I know, and I was just like,
okay.
apparently even when a cop sees it, he's just all like, boogity, 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 which is hilarious to read. That's not true. Fentanyl is very deadly, but touching it or skin contact won't kill you. Also, it's put in drugs now because it's cheap and a little goes a long way. I knew that. They can make drugs more potent and use less material to do so. Anyway, don't do drugs. Only the ones that don't hit, and love y'all. For the record, I'm pretty sure that I knew that when we were saying it. It was just because regardless of whether it actually hurts the cops, when they see it, they do go boogity, boogity, boogity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's that they ought not go boogity, boogity, but they definitely do go boogity, boogity.
If you're someone who listens to both the Well-Read podcast and POA, the Well-Read podcast has already come out, so you know we talk about fentanyl, whatever, at
and
length,
the boogity boogity.
And the boogity boogity of the cops on this week's episode of Well-Read. So that is pretty wild.
It is wild. From Hunter Bryant, subject line, Le Queen. I can't tell you how much I died laughing at y'all's Queen jokes because I already knew she had died. Fuck, bro. Like, what the hell could y'all have done to make it any funnier? Love you guys so much. By the way, squirrels do have feelings. Also, tell Drew and Gutter Bumpkin that I love them. I'll tell DJ. Thank you. Thank you, Hunter. We really appreciate that. And last but not least, this is also kind of what we talked about on Well-Read. Subject line, the price of pills in China. And they didn't tell me not to mention their name, but because of what is all in this email, I'm just not going to out of respect for them. Subject line, the price of pills in China. And I'm going to read it how I think
give
they
them
sound.
a little bit of a shout out, like initials or something.
This my girl HS. How about that? This my girl HS.
There you go.
And you can write in next week and tell me, and I'll give you your proper credit. And I'm also going to read this the way that I think they talk.
Sweet.
So, I'll be clean 3 years in January. My sober date is the day Kobe died.
But the last time I bought Perky C10s, they were $15 and a throw to whoever got you the hookup. I'm from Middle Tennessee, but about 45 minutes from East Tennessee, and even creeping up on 3 years sober, I did, in fact, want to throw up when you said you paid $3 for a 10. The cheapest I ever got was $7, and that's only because my grandma gave me a discount for helping her cook Thanksgiving dinner. Isn't that fucking perfect?
Oh my God, it's so great. You couldn't have like scripted a funnier fake version of that letter than the fucking real thing.
I really want to say the person because it's such an awesome letter, but like you could understand why that person might not want to have their shit out there. But if you do, I'll fucking say your name next week, especially if you follow back up with a banger like that.
And I'll see you at the next family reunion.
Well, that's all we got today here on Clearing the Airs, the after party of Puttin On Airs as it was. We'd like to remind all of you folks out there in the Airstream that if you enjoy Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, well, right here on the Puttin On Airs feed, me and my sister, Lady Kirby Ann Askew, are doing a House of the Dragon review show called Little House of the Dragon. And if you've been enjoying it so far, well, I hope you're prepared for this week because we're actually going to be shooting it more like a TV show with a lot more cool things happening. We're getting really excited about it. So check that out. Obviously, if you want to watch it, you go to watchpoa.com, and you can go to my new subscription service, parttimefunnyman.com, to get bonus stuff from me and Trae.
TraeCrowder.com if you want to come see me live. If I'm not coming near you, you can go to patreon.com/Trae Crowder if you want some extra stuff and to support your boy. You can also watch and listen to Weekly Skews if you want to hear me talk politics and all that shit. Look it up wherever you get your podcast, or you can watch it live on my social media pages every Tuesday, every Skews Day, that is, at 5 p.m. Pacific time with me and Smart Mark AG. All right.
Well, we love y'all, and remember, don't go to church if there's shit in your butt.
That's right.